Hmm. Okay, so we are on chapter 14, and I am going to do the lecture on chapter 14. And again, we're going to start at the beginning of your chapter in your textbook in chapter 14, communication or comunicación on page 411. And I want to highlight again what's important for your upcoming chapter 14 test, and also just give you some tips on what to focus on for your homework these 2 weeks that we're going to be on this unit. So let's take a look. Give me a second here. And let's look at comunicación. This particular unit deals with entertainment, talking about movies, and just the whole world of entertainment. And again, there's a compendium of vocabulary on the last page of the chapter. Make sure you're familiar with those words. A lot of the words, again, there are a lot of cognates with English. Your exam is not that difficult. There'll be some listening, reading, and I think it's fairly straightforward. The grammar is not too complex either, this unit, but let's take a look at it. So it starts off with ¿Qué tipo de película le gusta? Película, you should know by now, is a movie, of course. So we're going to be talking about entertainment. So let's take a look at this. And there's a little exercise here looking at different géneros or types of films, okay? And what kind of movies do you like? Different géneros or types of movies. There's movies that, action movies, acción, comedia, comedy, musical comedy, drama. So look at películas de suspenso o de misterio. I mean, películas de terror. So these are, just take a look at some of the vocabulary. You're going to do, again, be doing readings or listening to sections. And I just want to make sure you're familiar with the vocabulary and aware of it. Okay. This is, these boxes, again, when you're going through your textbook, are very important. They give you little nuggets of things that they want you to know for your homework and for your test. So how do you say maybe or perhaps? And you can use quizá or quizás. I personally use quizás, but it's just up to you. Or you could say tal vez. So tal vez means maybe or perhaps. Quizá or quizás the same. All right, so this is very basic Spanish, but they just give you a couple of situations where you might use it. Of course, you can use it in many more. And the question here is, ¿Cuál es tu película favorita? What's your favorite movie? And how might you answer that? Well, you might need to think, and so you might say, well, I don't know, no sé, and then you would say, tal vez, Casablanca, maybe Casablanca. Or you could say, no sé, quizá or quizás, Casablanca. You can use them interchangeably. I'll let you look through this. It's a very, very simple. Okay. Let me see. Here, the word, since we're talking about entertainment, books, novels, movies, an important word you might want to know is obra. Okay, obra just means a work. Okay, so obra, like an artistic work, a work of literature. Again, so take a look at these little exercises. They're very simple. And again, a lot of the vocabulary dealing with entertainment is are cognates with English. All right. So you might want to talk about a work of art is an obra de arte. There might be an obra de baile, like a, or an obra de cine, obra de literatura, obra de música. Okay, different works of art or literature. All right, let's move on here. Look at the section on Conéctate al Mundo Hispano. read through that, all right? It talks about films and the film industry. You should know what el doblaje means, dubbing, okay? Many telenovelas in Spanish are produced initially in Portuguese in Brazil, and then they're dubbed into Spanish. Right now, Turkey is a major producer of telenovelas in Spanish, and so they have to be dubbed from Turkish into Spanish. So el doblaje is an important word. You will often need subtítulos. So take a look at this. They're talking about la producción cinematográfica, okay, about the film industry and production and things surrounding that. Take a look. All right, here's an important concept I'd like to point out. Again, quisiera, it's from the verb querer, to want. Remember that verb? This is the past subjunctive, and it's a polite way of asking I want, I would like. You could use the conditional yo quería, but even more polite, maybe a little more elevated, is yo quisiera. And we'll be looking at the past subjunctive in a few minutes, but it's the past subjunctive form, and they give you some examples of it. All right. So they're using I would like and with a verb. So I would like to eat. I would like to be. I would like to see. And they tell us here when you use quisiera, yo quisiera, the verb then used with it, whatever it is, to eat, to like, to be, has got to be left in the infinitive form. You don't conjugate it. So, yo quisiera ser una actriz famosa. I would like to be a famous actress. Or ellos quisieran asistir a clases. They would like to attend. Asistir a means to attend. Notice we don't conjugate the verb used with quisiera. And again, look through some of these questions. Telenovela, that's a soap opera. Cantante, that's a word for singer, from cantar. Gira mundial is a world tour, to go around the world, literally. So take a look at some of these, some of this vocabulary. Aficionado is what? A fan. So a ballet fan is aficionado al ballet. Okay, estudiante de arte is an art student. Again, I'm not going to go through meticulously all this vocabulary. You go through, look at it, and there's that word obras again in number 6, works. The works of Cervantes, las obras de Cervantes. Okay, the word for actor, actor, male, actriz, female. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here important for us. Again, look at these expresiones útiles. Actuar, to act, bailar, to dance, cantar, sing, dibujar, draw. Okay, escribir un guión. The word for guión is a script, like for a movie, or you might want to write a novel. Escribir una novela. All right. Fotógrafo is a photographer. And again, this is all very basic vocabulary, but some might be a little new to you. Just spend a little time on it. Again, I told you in your upcoming test 14, you're going to have readings and questions, and it's going to involve this vocabulary. So I want you to be ready. Let's jump over to vocabulary a little more specifically and see, again, el cine, el teatro, el museo. Again, we're in the area of entertainment. And again, here's some more vocabulary here. And this is again on starting on page 414. Just go through this and learn this. Conciertos are concerts. Obras de arte, again, works of art. Obras de teatro, works of theater. Take a look at this, go through these sections. Again, most of this vocabulary you've probably had in Spanish 1. A lot of it is our cognates. Here's some more vocabulary. Look at the little box here. And again, a full compendium of your vocabulary is on the last page of the chapter. Okay, bailarina. or is a female dancer, bailarín, male dancer. Escritor, writer. Estrella, that's a movie star. Estrella de cine is a movie star. Estrella means star. Cine, movie or cinema. Personaje is a character like in a book or a well-known person. Protagonista, where main character. I mean, there's nothing really difficult here. Componer is to compose like a work of literature. All right. All right. Please take a look at the terms here. Expresiones útiles, cuerpo means body, the body of a story. La historia is a story. La voz is the word for voice. Contar is to tell or relate. So please look through this information. Okay. And I don't think I have much more to tell you, just to look through the, here's different musical instruments. Okay, to play an instrument, of course, is tocar, not jugar, but tocar la flauta, tocar el piano, etc. Okay, and now let's get to estructura or grammar. Okay, and it's not too complicated, and it starts off here. Okay, on page 418. Let's take a look at our grammar very quickly. Okay, so we are going to learn what they call, give me a second here, the past subjunctive. So we've learned the present subjunctive. Now let's take a look at the past subjunctive. Okay, and here it is. How do you form it? It's very easy. You remember the preterite tense. The preterite tense is simple past. You go to the ellos or ustedes form of the preterite tense. All right. For AR verbs, let's take hablar. So it'd be ellos hablaron. ARON is the ending. You drop the ON of the ARON ending and you add on the endings given here in the chart. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. So it's, well, all right, let's do it the way, well, so if you were to do that, you would get yo hablar a, okay? You drop off the, I'm sorry, you would get yo hablar, and then you add an A ending. Que yo hablara. All right, look at the to form, you add an AS ending. You drop the ON, so it's tu hablarás. All right, what about el, ella? It's, so you get el hablar, and you add an A on the ending, el hablara. Notice that the el and the yo form are exactly the same. What about nosotros? Again, it's nosotros hablar, and then you put an amos on the ending, habláramos. And then the ustedes, it would be, or ellos hablar, and you put an an ending on. Again, forgive this chart. I don't like the way your book sometimes presents this information. I find it confusing. So again, to form the past subjunctive, go to the preterite, the ellos preterite form of the verb. All right, so it's ellos hablaron, drop the ON ending, and now add these endings. For yo, add on an A. For tu, add on an AS. For el, add on an A. For nosotros, add on an amos. And for ellos, add on an AN. That's all there is to this. I don't know, yeah, but if you want to look through the directions in your book, that's fine. I prefer to go to the preterite tense, the ellos preterite tense of the verb, and drop the ON ending. And with that ending, I add my past subjunctive endings. A for yo, AS for tú, A for él, amos for nosotros, and AN for ellos. That's it. Okay, what about ER and IR verbs? They have the same endings and they form the same way. Go to the preterite tense, the ellos preterite tense of the verb. And let's do it. So aprender, ellos, and it would be ellos aprendieron, Drop the ON ending and add on those same endings we just added on for the yo and for the AR verbs, okay? So it'll be yo aprendiera, tú aprendieras, AS for L and A, it's an A ending, aprendiera, and for nosotros, we put amos on, aprendiéramos, and ustedes aprendieran. Does everybody see this? So you go to the ellos form of the verb in the preterite tense, drop the ON ending and add on these endings. And IR verbs are the same way. So let's take a look at vivir. All right. So it would be ellos vivieron. All right. The preterite ellos ending is vivieron. We drop the ON ending and we add on our magical endings that are always the same. So yo viviera, tú vivieras, AS ending, él viviera, an A ending, nosotros viviéramos, and then ellos vivieran. So the endings that you will add on right after you drop the ON ending of the preterite ellos form will be A for yo, AS for tú, A for él, amos for nosotros, and AN or an for ellos. That's it. You formed the past subjunctive, or el imperfecto del subjuntivo, as they call it in Spanish. Okay, so let's see. Let me go back here a little bit. So now we learned, and I'm sorry, we just jumped. We learned how to form it. Okay. Finally, so that is how you form the past subjunctive of regular verbs. What about irregular verbs? Okay, what about irregular verbs? All right, so the past subjunctive is formed with the stem of the verb plus one of the endings. Okay, this is how they're showing us to form it. It's a little different than what I had told you. You can also take the stem of the verb and form it this way. Again, I prefer just to go to the ellos form of the verb in the preterite. All right, and for an AR verb, you're going to have aran. For an ERI verb, you're going to have ieron, and I like to drop the AN ending for an AR verb or the ON ending for an ERI verb, and I add on those the endings. Okay, this is very important. What about the number 3.3? What if you have a verb with an irregular stem, And remember the irregular verbs in the preterite, those U stem, I stem, and J stem verbs? Please take a look at them, because this is where you need to know, because this is going to affect the formation of the past subjunctive. So remember, with a star, the stem is stu, okay? With poder, to be able to, it's pud. With poner, it's pus. With tener, it's tu. Okay, so let's take a look. So for irregular verbs, go to the ellos form in the preterite. Ellos estuvieran. We drop the AN ending and we put on our subjunctive endings in A. So it would be yo estuviera, tú estuvieras. Él estuviera, nosotros estuviéramos, ellos estuvieran. Look at poder. What is the ellos form in the preterite of poder? To be able to. They could. Ellos pudieran. Ellos pudieron. Okay, ellos pudieron. So I dropped the on ending off of pudieron, and I add on my past subjunctive endings. So yo pudiera, tú pudieras, él pudiera, pudiéramos nosotros, and ellos pudieran. Poner. What is the preterite form? It's ellos pusieron. Okay, ellos pusieron. I dropped the on ending. Now to form my past subjunctive, yo pusiera, tú pusieras, I'm sorry, él pusiera, nosotros pusiéramos, amos ending, and ellos pusieran, an ending. Look at these other irregular verbs. Dar is just, it's diera. If you think about it, it's ellos dieron, drop the on ending. Always go to the ellos plural form. Drop the on ending if it's an ER-IR verb, and then add on your ending. So yo diera, tú dieras, él diera, nosotros diéramos, ellos dieran. Finally, what about the verb to be? I'm sorry, yes, the verb to be, ser and ir, the verb to go. Remember, in the preterite, they're exactly the same. So they went as ellos fueron, they were, ellos fueron. Again, that's why I go to the preterite form. I don't like the way your book teaches this. Go to the ellos preterite form. So how would I say they that they go? I'm using the past subjunctive that they should have gone. Okay, so I'm going to say, how do I form the past subjunctive? I will drop the on of fueron and get fuer, and then I add my endings on. Que yo fuera, que tú fueras, que él fuera, que nosotros fuéramos, que ellos fueron. And notice that's the same conjugation for the verb to go. Okay, or the verb to be. They conjugate the same. Okay. All right. Does everybody see that? So if you, and that's how you form the past subjunctive. All right, let's see what else they want to tell us here. Let's look at the verb estar, by the way. I didn't do that one. Estar is the other verb to be. So so I go to the ellos preterite form. Ellos estuvieron. I drop the on ending, so that I be, or that I was, or that I were, really. It's the past subjunctive in English is that I were. I wish that I were, or I had been. Que yo estuviera, que tú estuvieras, que él estuviera, que estuviéramos nosotros, and ellos estuvieran. All right. When do we use the subjunctive? We've already learned when we use the subjunctive, okay? But let's go through this chart for a little review. You use the subjunctive and when in the present, when you desire something, okay? Okay, to indicate a desire, something that you want to be true, okay? So, piden que hablemos en la reunión. Okay, so you desire, I want you to do this. I desire that you do this. I desire that you go home. I want you to eat something, okay? Whenever you want or desire something, you're going to use the subjunctive tense. And when you're doing that desiring or wanting in the present tense, you're going to use the present subjunctive. So, ellos piden que hablemos en la reunión. They ask that we speak at the meeting, okay? So I use present tense desire, I use present subjunctive. Here's another one. I want that you study. Quiero que estudies, all right? The second verb is in the subjunctive because I want that person to do something. Quiero que tú estudies. If you're showing doubt, you're indicating that something might not be true. So no creo in the immediately triggers the subjunctive in the second clause. I don't believe, no creo que sea. I don't believe it's a good idea. Not es, but sea. Es imposible. That immediately, that shows doubt. So it's going to trigger the subjunctive. Es imposible que él gane. So I have to use a subjunctive. So when do we use the past subjunctive? Let's be logical. If your verb, your desiring verb, is in the past tense, then you're going to now use the past subjunctive. So in here it says they ask, ellos piden or request. Now we have ellos pidieron, they requested. Okay, so they requested, we have to use now for our verb the past subjunctive. Does everyone see this? So it's not pidieron que hablemos, pidieron que nosotros hablemos, es pidieron que habláramos. All right, so they asked that we speak at the meeting, or we spoke at the meeting. We have to put the verb in the past subjunctive. So on your exam, they're going to give you questions. They're going to give you questions where they start off with a present tense desire. Yo pido or él pide. Then whatever the verb that you use in the second clause, make sure you put it in the present tense. Then they're going to give you examples where they start off in the past tense. Él pidió, yo pedí. Make sure your second clause is in the past subjunctive. It's as simple as that. Likewise, they may give you questions where there's doubt expressed in the present tense. Use the present after, all right? If they express doubt in the past tense, yo no creía, then you use the past, then you use past subjunctive after that, okay? So yo no creía que fuera, era imposible que ganara. All right, so if the beginning clause is in the present, use the present subjunctive. If the beginning clause is in the past tense, here it's in the imperfect, use the past subjunctive. Does everybody see that? And again, if either you might start off in the past tense might be the simple past or preterite, or it might be the imperfect. But if your first clause is in the past tense, then follow with the past subjunctive. It's as simple as that. Don't make it any more complicated. All right, let me see if there's some more vocabulary here. I would ask you just to look through this. There are readings and some listening sections, and you're going to be reading about works of art and movies or composers and be asked questions. So just make sure that you feel comfortable with it. All right, let me see if there's anything further here. Again, they're talking about different composers, writers. You know, they're doing here Diego Rivera, the tremendous muralist. You've all learned about him and should know about him. Let's move on and see if there's anything important. Here's a little section on en la Escuela Internacional de Cine, the International School of Cinema or Movies. You might want to take a look at that. Okay. So again, the main thing here, be able to form the past subjunctive. The way I like to do it is get your verb. If it's an A, for regular verbs, if it's an AR verb, get an AR verb and go to the ellos preterite form of the verb. So if I have hablar, I'm going to go to the ellos form and put it in the preterite. Ellos hablaron. Okay, ellos hablaron. Drop the O-N ending of hablaron, ellos hablaron, and put on your past subjunctive endings. They're universal and they're the same. Okay, they're unchanging. Learn them. So it's yo hablara, tú hablaras, AS for tú, él hablara, A for R. Amos for nosotros, nosotros habláramos. And for ellos, it's AN. Ellos hablaron. Ustedes hablarán. Okay. Does everybody see that? And likewise for IR and ER verbs, let's take vivir. Let's get the preterite ellos form. It's ellos vivieron. Drop the O ending, the ON ending, and add on your past subjunctive endings. Que yo viviera. Que tú vivieras. Que él viviera. And que nosotros viviéramos and ellos que ellos vivieran. All right, que ellos vivieran. Then you've got your irregular verbs. Please don't forget them. Estar, poder, poner, tener, and dar. Go to the ellos form in the preterite. Ellos estuvieron. Okay, ellos estuvieron. Drop the on ending and add on your endings. Poder. Ellos pudieron. Drop the on ending and add on your endings. Poner, to put or place. Drop your ellos pusieron. Drop the on ending and add on your a endings. And finally, tuvieron, drop your own endings, your on endings from ellos tuvieron, and add your past subjunctive endings. Very simple, very straightforward. Okay. When do you use the past subjunctive? When your initial sentence is a request, a desire, and it's in the past tense, either in the preterite, ellos pidieron, or ellos pedían in the imperfect. Then you will follow it with the past subjunctive. Okay. Otherwise, if your request or your doubt is expressed in the present tense, then you use the present subjunctive. And you're going to have one question on here where they'll be asking you to either use the present or past subjunctive. Very simple. Okay, let's see what else we have here. And now we're in Estructura 14.2. Again, take a look at this. All right, and let's do our last. This is called the future tense. How do we form the future tense? There's two ways of forming the future in Spanish. Just like in English, we can use the verb to go. Yo voy a, and then put your verb. Yo voy a comer, I'm going to eat. But what if I want to say, I will eat, or I shall eat, or he will eat, they will eat? How do we do that in Spanish? We use the future tense, and here they give us some examples. Let's go right to the little box and figure this out. Okay, so how do we use the future tense? And so they give us some examples of the future tense here. Let's learn how to form it. And this is how we form the future tense. The future tense is formed by adding these endings. Okay. Okay. On to the infinitive of the verb. This is how simple it is to form the future tense. You don't have to get the root of the verb. You don't have to get the ellos preterite form of the verb and drop any endings or change anything. You don't have to get the yo form of the verb. You just take the verb as it is, unconjugated in its AR, ER, or IR form, and you add on these magical endings. Here they are. For yo, you add on an E, that's accented. For tú, you add on an AS. For LA and usted, you add on an A. For nosotros, you add on an hemos. And for ellos or ustedes, you add an on. You add it where? On to the end of the infinitive. That's how simple this is. All right. All right. So let's say I will be at home. Yo estaré en casa. Tú estarás en casa. Él estará en casa. Nosotros estaremos en casa. Ellos estarán en casa. Okay? All right. Okay. I'm going to be happy. Yo seré feliz. You will be happy, tú serás feliz. He will be happy, él será feliz. You will be happy, usted será feliz. We will be happy, nosotros seremos feliz, and ellos serán feliz. I will live. Yo viviré, you will live. Tú vivirás, she will live. Ella vivirá, we will live. Nosotros viviremos, and ellos vivirán. See how simple it is to form this. The infinitive and add on those magical endings. Now, there are irregular verbs, and I'm sorry for this. You just learn these irregular verbs. You cannot just take the infinitive, but you have to take these roots or stems that they give you, and you've got to learn these stems, but you will add on these same endings. A for yo, as for tú, a for él, hemos for nosotros, and an for ellos. So let's do it. What about the verb decir? I will say or I will tell. It's yo diré. Tú dirás. Él dirá. Everybody get this? What about haber? Okay, this is the verb there is or there are, there will be. So there is or there are is I. Hay dos personas. There are two people. There will be two people. It'll be habrá dos personas. What about hacer? I will make or do. All right, it will be, the stem is ar. Yo haré. I will do. What about to be able to? I'll be able to. It'll be yo podré. Tú podrás. You'll be able to. What about poner? Very unique. Pondrá. I'll put it on the desk. Yo lo pondré en el escritorio. Salir. I'm going out. It will be, it's not yo saliré, it's yo saldré. Okay, tú saldrás. What about tener? I will have. It's yo, not yo teneré, it's yo tendré. Tú tendrás. Nosotros tendremos. So again, these are the irregular ones. You just have to memorize these, okay? And then the last one they want you to know here is venir. I'm going to come, or I will come, is yo vendré. Not veniré, but yo vendré. So spend some time on this and get used to these irregular ones. And also, there are your universal endings to form the future. Again, normally when we form the future, just take the infinitive, the unconjugated form of the verb, whether it's a, e, or I, and add these endings on. A for yo, as for tú, a for él, ella, and usted, hemos for nosotros, and an for ellos and ustedes. So simple. And then just remember, though, that these verbs are completely irregular. They're going to be on your exam, so be ready for them. Decir, the stem is dir. This is the stem for the future tense, is dir. For haber, there is, there are, is habr. For hacer, the verb to do or make, is ar. For poder, the verb to be able to or can, is podrá. To put or place is pondrá. To leave or go out is saldrá. For to the verb for to have is tendrá, and for to come it's vendrá. Yo vendré. I will come. I will have. Yo tendré. I'll go out. Yo saldré. I'll be able to. Yo. I'm sorry. I will put or place. Yo pondré. I'll be able to. Yo podré. I will do. Yo haré. Okay. Yo diré. I will tell. And look at some of these examples, work with some of these problems. So you have two new tenses to learn: the future, okay, I will go, I will have, I will be, and you have to learn the past subjunctive. Again, you can follow the rules in the book, or you can follow my rules. Just go to the ellos form in the preterite and drop the on ending and add on your special endings that go to the past subjunctive. And I think that does it for this lesson. I don't think the exam is that difficult. There's some reading and just understanding and listening and answering some very basic questions on different movies, books, works about nothing, I don't think super challenging. Okay, I think that does it for our presentation. So best of luck on chapter 14.